Hello there everyone and welcome to John Drinks, the channel where I, John, have a drink. And today I don't have a bottle to show you, because they're really fucking expensive. But what I do have is a teeny tiny little sample bottle of Octomore. This is the 11.3 edition. It's 5 years old, it uses Islay-grown concerto barley, and I'm looking forward to it. Now then, I will, if I remember, I'll try and flag up a picture of the bottles that they use. They are gorgeous ampule style bottles. They're kind of like something out of Prometheus. You know the things that were like the black sludge was in? Did anybody watch that film? I mean, I was heavily sleep deprived when I did, so I don't know, maybe I hallucinated half of it, I'm not sure, but it was an odd time. 61.7% ABV. Octomores are fun. They're fun whiskies. They're fun to sell, for one thing, because you can just go, this is the most heavily peated whiskey, and the tourists lap it up. 30 quid a measure, please, thank you very much. It's a bit of fun from Bruichladdich as well. Bruichladdich Distillery, they're known for their classic laddie, they do their bear barley, their Islay barley, they're big on their sort of wanky Providence, for want of a better way of putting it, really. You know, they're fucking hipster. And I say this as a hipster douchebag myself, they are fucking hipster. You know, bright blue bottles and, you know, micro-sourcing everything and doing black and white films of themselves and all that kind of fun stuff. They do also know their shit, you know, so it's not like it's all glamour and no substance, you know, they do know what they're up to, and they make good whiskey. It can be a touch pricey sometimes, but they do know how to do their whiskey. How I often tell the tale of this one is that people got a bit pissy at them that they weren't producing anything peated from the Bruichladdich range, so they decided to go, well, we can do it, so here we go, and made the most heavily peated. We'll have words to say about that a little bit later on, but also it's not entirely true that they didn't produce peated stuff. It's a bit fun, you know, it's a total contrast in terms of kind of like, you know, zero peat to oh mama. This particular one is not the most peated in their range by a long stretch. The Octomores are done as additions. So obviously we're on 11.3. I think the 12s, they already started releasing those. I think they're out now, the 12s. I've not been keeping an eye on them. I normally only know what releases are out because we normally start stocking them. And obviously with, you know, COVID and everything, we're still getting through the last batch. So I'm pretty sure the 12s are out now. Also, I think the travel exclusive ones were made available to public because otherwise they weren't going to make any fucking money off of that bottle, because who's going to an airport? Well, a lot of people are going to airports now, but anyway, it's not relevant. There's plenty of details about this whiskey on the website because they love talking. I've kind of done most of the summer read stuff already, so we'll kind of dive in with the whiskey instead. But if you want to have a look at the website, then there'll be a link down below in the hoo-ha. But I bought some whiskey. It's in this glass. Natural colour, non-chill filtered, because of course they're going to do that. It is a pale gold colour. A very enticing pale gold colour. Now, the nose is not what you would expect at all. You expect to get punched in the face with peat, don't you? Based off of what they say, it's the most heavily peated. 194 parts per million? Oh, I did write this down. Yes! Yes, I got that right, 194 parts per million. That, my understanding is, they take this peat reading before the whiskey starts maturing. So some of that will have evaporated, some of that will have disappeared off into the ether. A 21-year-old Laphroaig is not going to be as peaty as a 5-year-old Laphroaig. Phenols escape over time. But the nose on this is very sweet. It's bizarrely sweet. It's reminding me a fair bit of like those like chalky sweet necklaces. You know, like the candy necklaces with those horrible chalky sweets that people like chew into and go, yummy, and they're horrible, you know? Reminding me of the smell of those. It's a little bit of like a demerara sugar kind of a thing, frosting on the top of the cake. It's really sweet as an initial nose. quite a burn on the nostrils as well. This is a very potent whiskey. You know, it's 60-odd%. It's got a bit of strength to it, you know, and it's not been matured for particularly long, as long as they felt they needed, I suppose. But you know, not particularly long. Giant pink marshmallows as well. It's just sweet shop in a glass, which, again, really weird, really weird. I suspect the ABV is locking up a lot of the peat. Either that or I've had the sample for too long. Okay, I'm going to try tasting it now. Smoke me a kipper. Yeah, there it is. One moment. Mother Teresa's sainted goat. It's powerful. Again, the peat is a little bit held back, but there is still a fairly briny smokiness to it. It's very rich. It's like a curly-whirly kind of thing, like caramel and chocolate. It's really chewy mouthfeel. It's like really thick, dense. You kind of want to smack your lips, kind of a thing. The peat lingers, but again, it's almost a little subdued. It's sweet. It's caramelly. It's just like a slightly iodine-rich smoke to it. Kind of like you've been sitting at a bonfire all night, you know? Can I have one more sip of it neat, and then I think we're going to have to go in with quite heavily with the water with this one. I'm just going to say quite heavily. Yeah, it's like getting smacked in the face with a slipper. I feel like the strength is holding it back. There's sweetness, there's a bit of smoke, but the flavour's not very forward. It's mostly just kind of like this heavy hit of booze. So I think we need to let it down. We need to open the door a little bit. So I'm going to put a fair whack of water in this. Held that for about a good second and a bit there. Bit of a loosh going on. Grand, love to see it. Okay, that's helped. That's helped. It's got a bit more agricultural on the nose. It's a little more kind of like really intense barley flavour to it. Smoke is still there, but again, it's strangely subdued. There is like a streaky, smoky bacon kind of element to it. There is a bit of a salinity to it on the nose. It's a little bit briny. It's still quite sweet. I'm still getting marshmallows and a little bit of like honeycomb in there now as well. As a, you know, like when you break open a crunchy bar. It's a little bit citrusy. There's like a little bit of like lime rind in there. And it's a fair bit chocolatey. As a nose, like the smell you get off of a hot chocolate when you make one. Again, it's an oddity, this one. We might actually have to add more water yet. I don't know, but you know, we can add, but we can't take away. So let's fire in. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. Again, the smoke is not ludicrously over the top. What it's doing is it's complementing the other flavours that are there. You've got this lovely, rich barley flavour to it, kind of like a barley sugar kind of an element as well. It's rich, it's sweet, there is like a honeycomb and chocolate kind of a thing going on with it. It kind of goes down a bit of a citrusy road, and then it kind of swerves off to a little more smoke, and then it's kind of done with you. It's not the punch you in the face kind of experience that you're expecting from something like this. You have to cool the ABV down. You've got to do it. It's becoming a little more fresh the more I taste of it as well. There's like a eucalyptus, aloe vera, mint kind of a note in there. A little bit spearminty, quite fresh. The sweetness is coming through again. And the smoke is just kind of like a welcome companion the whole way through, but it's not overwhelming. The rest of the flavours in the whiskey are allowed to shine through. But again, I'm going to add a little more water, just to make sure that, you know, it's not being completely held back. Could well be that it needs a fair bit to fully unlock it, but the smoke's coming through a little bit more now. Or maybe I'm just becoming less associative to it, I don't know. It's a clean smoke. It's lacking a lot of the more kind of like acrid qualities that you get off of like a bonfire smoke or burnt toast or those kind of, you know, smoke elements. It's much more kind of a, I don't know how to say it other than, you know, it's quite a, it's kind of smoked flavour you get off of like something that's been freshly smoked, like a fresh smoked salmon or something like that. That's a really Edinburgh thing, isn't it? There's a little bit of marzipan now. It's going a little bit nutty. Marshmallows are finally faded. There's a little bit of green apple. It's become a little fresher on the nose now. It's becoming a little more kind of fruit and vegetable as opposed to sweet shop. And the smoke's still present. But again, it's not overwhelming. But in total contrast to the nose, this is the sweetest it's been so far. Really rich, salted caramel, a little bit of like a candied smoked bacon in there as well. A bit of Maldon smoked sea salt. There is a little bit of like a TCP iodine kind of a twang to it, but again, it's not overbearing. It's kind of like a middle note. The rest of the flavours kind of like wrap themselves around it. It's lovely. There's wonderful caramel chocolate notes, a little bit bright, a little bit citrusy, a little bit grassy, a little bit eucalyptusy. It's a lovely whiskey, but it's absolutely not what you're expecting. I imagine most people are expecting, you know, oh, I just want like raw, full-blown peat, and bizarrely, you're not getting it with this. You're getting a much more nuanced experience, which I'm big into. I'm loving how like rich and engaging it is. It's more than just the spiel of like, oh, look how smoky we are. It's more than that. It's a well-crafted whiskey in its own right, and it has other things to say than just, wham, I'm smoke. They probably could do that and just have an easier run of it, to be fair, but this, I think, says a bit more of kind of like craft to it. There's more to it than just, hey, I'm smoky, fucking deal with it. I like that. It's a bit more, it's a bit like top hat and tails as opposed to just, you know, fur coat and suspenders. I don't know. I don't go to parties anymore. It's a really enjoyable whiskey. Is it worth the money? I'm not sure I'd drop all that cash on this. They tend to go for, I think it's 150, 160, 170 in some cases. Really pricey. Would I drop that for this? Probably not. But you feel free. You do you. But yeah, that's been delightful. I'm enjoying that, and I shall continue to enjoy it into the night. But let me know your thoughts on the Bruichladdich Distillery. What do you think of Octomore? Have you had a chance to try many of them? Are they your go-tos when it comes to a rich, smoky experience, or are you kind of like more pleasantly surprised at the nuanced sort of reactions you get from some of them? Thumb this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more shenanigans from whatever this is. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something else.